Hey everyone, welcome to another typology interview. We have Jessica. How's it going, Jessica?
Good.
Good. Yeah. So just start with like, what are you doing here? How did you get here?
Um, like how I got into typology or how I got like
Yeah.
here.
How you're here on the interview, like the whole story, typology, the whole thing.
Whole story is I'm now obsessed with typology. I didn't let myself get into typology until like a few years ago because um I thought the amount of if I got like a if I took like a 16 personalities test and got INFJ, the I would feel so much pride at being rare that I thought was bad. So instead I just like wouldn't let myself get into it, and then finally a few years ago realized that it's not bad, and got into the enneagram, and that led into OPS,
Right.
and then submitted a video into the cognitive resolution groups. And
Yeah.
yeah,
You have an Enneagram channel that we can link to?
no, soon,
Right.
but no, yeah.
Right. So it's funny that you talk about the special thing because you are a very important person in OPS, I guess, because you are the last type that they've collected, that Dave and Jen have collected. Until now, they did not have like I remember in your typing video, you were like, "I just want to be normal. I don't want any special type. I don't want." And then it just turns out you're the rarest type that it's only rare because we haven't found any more, right?
Hmm.
So they have a male of your type, a couple, I guess, but never found a female of your type. So now OPS is finally complete because of you, I guess.
That
Yeah,
is fantastic. Like I
yeah.
have a really like I know like I want to be normal, but like really like I very much want to be rare too. But it's definitely like a push pull thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to try to understand a little bit more what SI is from your perspective, how you see it, because you've started seeing it in your life a little bit more.
Yeah, in terms of like, hmm, in terms of think not really well, one in terms of like not really seeing it because all I was seeing was the times where SI was broken. So I focused more on the fact when my stability is interrupted, and
Right.
that can even be like in my thinking where someone asked me a question and I was thinking about something and I was like in that, and then it's like jarring, um, which I think made me think that I was NE because that happens all the time. And also constantly just trying to find the new routine that's going to work for whatever situation I'm in, trying to make trying to make the routine so that I don't have to think about it, and then just keep that going and kind of have it be self-supporting. And then inevitably, like I have a chaotic life, I have 6 kids, that gets broken, and so it's like constantly, okay, let's go back to that and try to make it again and try to make this easy.
Interesting. Can you give us like a little bit of an example of when something like a minor break, something minorly breaks, and then you have to fix it? What you're talking about there?
Well, I guess thinking was one, or um, I have a weird, okay, so this is like a bigger thing, but I have a weird relationship with alcohol in that um, I would not drink at all. I didn't touch alcohol until I was like 30 because I thought it was morally wrong. And then my beliefs around it changed, and I was like, I can't really prove it's morally wrong. And like, I love it. I love having, I guess maybe it's like having just everything like calm down. And so, but it adds chaos. And so I would find myself often, and like, I'm like obviously a lot about control. Like I have kids, so it was like 9 o'clock would hit, and I would find myself like literally like paralyzed in front of a drink, being like, do I drink this? Because if I drink this, like for a long period of time, it's going to like I'm gonna end up fat and dead or something, like just all this like, and then, but at the same time, I knew it was good to relax, and so what would happen was is that I would if I wasn't drinking, if I would not let myself drink that night, I was miserable because I'm just like a little bit more high strung in general. And if I was drinking, I was miserable because then I was afraid because like oftentimes it's hard for me to stop once I have one drink. So it produces even more chaos. And so, But I was really excited about this, where I was trying to find a way for stability to honor chaos and chaos to honor stability. So I just do every other now. And I add a little bit of stability into the chaotic days. So like the nights that I do allow myself to drink, I will make sure it's in a specific time frame. So like there's the stability. And in the times that I don't drink, I add chaos by not being real strict about whether I'm tired or not, or what activities I do, or like,
Yeah. So it's like you're trying to add limits, like safety limits to everything you're doing to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And as long as you have those safety limits and you're sticking to those, you feel safe.
yes, a lot of it is about feeling safe, which is weird, but it's also like, I think, like I am lead SI, but the NE is masculine. So it's
Right.
like overall, I want the control and will suppress that until like it feels like the masculine NE is like, I'm gonna have fun no matter what, and like then it's a binge, because it's like, and then my, like, I guess the double feminine sleep like just makes it work and is convinced that like this is the right thing to do in the moment. And so that at times could be like a very harmful cycle for me because I didn't really know what's going on and didn't know I needed
Right.
to honor both rather than just being like, you know what, I can control this. This is fine,
Yeah. I mean, in all of your videos and stuff, I always see your any a lot. Like you're doing a lot of analogies to the part where like we knew we were observer, we were seeing the any, we're like, okay, you're any first,
Mm,
right?
yeah, that makes sense.
So how are you starting to see it as like a demon now? How do you reconcile the fact that it's a demon?
I see
And
it in my thinking a lot in terms of I get scared a lot, and it's a lot about stuff that isn't actually there. And it can
yeah,
be like actual intrusive thoughts in terms of like scenarios, and like I'm walking somewhere and I'm like all of a sudden like in my mind a bear comes out and just like mauls me, and it's
right,
like it's completely insane, completely chaotic, and for the moment I'm there and I'm experiencing it. And sometimes when I think back to like that particular walk, I see the bear just as vividly as I see like what was actually in front of me. And like that, like even like someone doesn't text me back, are they dead? It's like it doesn't make
right.
any sense,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like a push, it feels masculine, and it feels like totally unknown and weird.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like one of the things any is it's seeing all of like the possibilities on the spectrum, right? And so if it's a demon, you're not seeing them all in the spectrum. You're just seeing like a very slim slice of that. It could be like the extremes, yeah.
Yeah,
Where it's like the chances of a bear coming out is small. That's part of the spectrum. That's not the only one. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Have you figured out ways to get over that, to cope with that a little bit?
I have had, in terms of like the bear is a little bit weird, but in terms of like, it especially comes out with people and thinking that either people, mostly two things, don't like me or think I'm stupid and think what I'm saying is stupid. And I've had a lot of freedom reading Byron Katie and just deconstructing. I love this. Like just taking a thought, being like, I need this person to like me, or I need this person to see that I'm right, and deconstructing that and finding that the inverse is true also. And then that thought just kind of like, you know,
Right. Yeah, that's
and
really
that's been
interesting.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting that your quadra all gravitate to that because it's an interest, like a lot of alpha quadra gravitate to that because it's sort of the way you guys think is a lot like that, and it's interesting. Like I personally don't resonate with that. It doesn't deconstruct thoughts for me. For you guys, it does. It's really interesting. Yeah.
It isn't, because that's funny because I've been trying to talk to my husband who's not in my quadrant, and this isn't like hitting him at all. In fact, we're having a lot
Right.
of like disagreements and arguments about it because I'm like, no, like do these steps and it'll be wonderful, and he's like, no, you know.
Yeah. 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 No, it's interesting. She really figured something out there. Like
Mhm.
the method she figured out was it's that's another thing about SI. It's very subjective. It's very
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to distinguish how subjective SI is, but it's very like the Byron Katie method works because it's so subjective. Because it's
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm having so much fun reading about this like concept called like umwelt, which is like the fact that like every species, every individual has their own experience, and you kind of can't know. You can't really know something else is experience or someone's other experience. So like I'm having fun now, like exploring and finding freedom in the fact that it is subjective, and all these rules that I had for myself when I was younger, I shouldn't apply them to me. I should find what works for me. So
Right. Yeah. And also, like, when you find those, it doesn't necessarily work for everyone else.
yes, so I can stop judging people. So
Right.
yeah.
Um, like, so what do you see something other than your own subjective experience? Do you see your subjective experience as something like core to who you are?
Um, I think so. How would the opposite be true?
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, like, do you see a reality outside of your own subjective experience? Or is
Oh, I'm probably becoming more and more convinced that like it's probably all subjective, that I'm not really sure what reality is, but that's not so much important because I have to deal with my own reality, regardless of whether it's subjective or objective.
right.
But I'm
But like,
suspicious that I'm not seeing the real thing.
yeah, but like when you want to go and share some experience or something with someone else, um, have some kind of, I don't know, you figured out your routine that works for you and your family. But like, how do you go and teach someone else to construct that own routine for them? Because you're gonna have to tailor it to them, right? It's like,
A little bit, or it's like I'll have someone get something out of what, because I really do enjoy trying to give that way. Like, here's my unique perspective. I want to give that to you, and then maybe you can find something in it. And sometimes it's surprising what someone else has taken out of it that I wasn't really intending. So now I'm just like, you know what, here, and I'm just gonna let it go. Like, you do what you want with it. Um,
yeah. How do you see yourself as refining it and building that subjective experience?
I am refining it all the time. I am refining like how I want to present it and what I think is would be an excellent way of presenting it.
With the
Um,
blast there, yeah.
yeah, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen after I let that go and actually say it.
And like, what about refining? I don't know, like those you were talking about the boundaries on drinking. Like, so how do you know what the time frame is? Would you increase the time frame? Would you let it slip one day? Like, how are you refining that?
That does that does bring me some frustration because I don't really like know. Like it does. I don't like the fact that it is subjective and like I could just change it. It's like, well, is it working now? And yep. So
Right. Um, are there other things like that you sort of um I don't know, I'm just trying to get to what the crux of SI is for you, of how you're seeing it in your life. So trying to ask more questions on that. Yeah.
like other things like the drinking thing. Like
Yeah. Or like it's called organizing sensory, I guess, in OP. But like I don't know if you see it like that, or like the question is not how OP sees it. It's more like how you see it, because it's your SI, it's your own experience, right?
yeah, yeah. I am a lot of it just like happens in my head though. Like there are certain ways that I like doing things that I have found that become better and better. Like I want to get
Hmm.
them better and better. Like if I'm learning the guitar, I lay out like a systematic, like I will do this for 30 minutes every day, and then regardless of like how I'm going about it, just the fact that I'm doing it is going to produce some kind of result. But it's really a lot like just me blasting in my head and trying to hone that information and trying to make it better, try to make it more understandable.
Right.
Um, yeah.
How much of tomorrow is already organized for you? Like when you wake up tomorrow, you already know exactly how your entire day is going to go?
No, I know that I'm going to have the smoothie that is in my fridge and then we'll go to church and that's about it.
But like the type of question where like you have your day already planned completely?
No, I don't like having my day planned because then I want to break it. And I think that's kind of like the hardest part about seeing SI initially was is that like I just get like I want to rebel at what the plan that I made is because it's like, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to like, and so like, even though I very much want to like, I would love to have like a schedule or something for myself. Like I very much need to know that it doesn't really matter, because there was a lot, and still kind of is, a lot of should around that. You know, I should be doing this, so I'm going to put it in my schedule, and maybe I'll get in trouble with natural consequences if I don't. So it's schedules are incredibly complicated, because the moment I make them, I get like a little antsy. I don't like it, even
Yeah.
though I keep making them.
You do make them still.
Not like a so what I've found that works for me is I have like a packet of index cards that I call my catch, and I'll just like write to-dos as they come up. Um, and and then that might give me some structure. I might think about some to-dos and then be like, okay, I want to do that at some point today. So it's extremely to-do oriented, but the moment I put a time on it, it almost like it, yeah, like I said, I just get uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't really save your state there. You got really bored with the question. You're like, why is he asking this? Like, you're like, oh yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. So like, I can see that that's very savior state for you. Whatever you talked about there, like adding your cards or whatever you're doing with your cards.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
very boring. It's like I'm just catching to-dos. Like I do that a
yeah,
lot. Yeah.
right. Okay. Um, and then the TI, are you seeing the TI a lot more now? Is that something that's making sense to you?
The TI was definitely the hardest part to see. Um, but definitely just being not realize like not seeing that I'm a thinker over like a feeler. Like I had one experience where like it was really like I found out something about like my past that I had no idea about, and I remember like hearing the information and then looking at the person who told me, and I was like, I'm gonna go react to this later. And like just
Eh,
seeing how often that happens even on like a daily basis, where like I'm getting emotional and it bothers me. And
right.
the first thing I want to do, which is hard because maybe it's feminine, is I want to be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Let me figure that all out. Let me fix like why I'm feeling this way, and then I can stop feeling this way.
Yeah.
Um,
No, the idea of like, okay, I'm gonna go feel this later, that kind of thing, it is it's hard to judge what that is because it is okay, I'm gonna be responsible. Like I need to be responsible for the feelings. You could look at it that way. Or you could also be like,
mm,
oh, I'm gonna postpone this, so I'm neglecting it. So it's really hard to see if it's savior or demon in that kind of situation.
that
Because it
makes
could be
sense.
either, yeah. But like for the most part, we we won't I personally as a TI first won't think about feeling things in the moment. Like if you have to get something done, you get it done, and then afterwards you can process the emotions if you get that far. But I don't know if you resonate with that.
I think for me, because it's double decider, I get way more reactive in the moment than I realize I do. A lot of people know that I'm upset way quicker. Takes me a long time, you know, and I usually deny it because it's like all right there, you know. Um,
Right.
so it's harder for me to just like completely be like usually everyone can tell. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the masculine FE too. So do you see yourself as being masculine with the tribe, seeing the tribe as aggressive, seeing the tribe as confrontational?
Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday in terms of like the when I go and I blast, I find that I often don't make eye contact, and I don't um I need to look down, because once I engage with the person, I feel like I'm gauging that like double masculine play. And then all of the things that I was afraid the person was thinking about me, I can now see it. It's not actually there, but I can now see it. And so, like, all of the like, they don't like me, they don't like what I'm saying, they think what I'm saying is stupid. It's like so real. And so, like, it was just cool realizing why I look down, because it's like I come up and I'm blasting, and then I feel like I'm dodging and changing what I am saying to kind of get out of the way of oncoming missiles that are coming from, but actually not coming from the person, of all my worst fears. And it makes me go back into sleep again. Like it makes me want to retreat again. Um, and yeah, so there's a lot of fear from the tribe, and kind of again that deconstruction of thought is really helpful.
Yeah, no, that's interesting too. The play, like it's play last, and it's also like your two demon functions.
Hmm.
So it's something that is really not comfortable, I guess, doing the
Yeah,
play
and
thing.
like even if I'm not actually like playing with people, it's still like an interplay of blast and consume. And
Right.
so you're still so like interactions are terrifying. Like I remember Kendrick asked me like, do you have chaos, like what are some of your crazy views about conspiracy theories? And I remember I was like, like, is this a thing? Because I have none, like in terms
Right.
of that. But with people, I have ridiculous thoughts about people in the
Yeah. Yeah.
moment, and it makes me just like, it makes me scared of them unless I'm like on top of things and aware. And
And like, what if someone were to reassure you too? Like you have a guess. Okay, I'm guessing this person thinks I'm saying stupid stuff, and the person's like, no, I like everything you're saying is really great. Like, would that reassure you, or like, is
yes,
it yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
that helps. It's definitely like, it's so much worse if I'm already feeling insecure, like with my husband or with like close friends. Like I can make more eye contact, like even like down to the, I can make more eye contact. I can feel free to blast more because like a part of, I feel like I have a really complicated with blast because it puts me in that spotlight, and then that engages um, what might
Yeah.
be really scary thoughts.
Right.
And so if I feel safe, I can blast more, I can talk more. It's like I tend to be in new scenarios. Like if there's more than one person, I'm like, I'm just observing and taking it all in. Because like once I start talking, especially like if there's more than one person, like I feel like I'm trying to like, the demons are multitasking and like who's thinking what about me. Um,
Right.
so it's really hard for me to get comfortable.
Do you feel like one of your primary modes of operating is like um, controlling things, holding things back, making sure things go according to some kind of plan, making sure that
Yeah,
there isn't chaos? Yeah.
yeah, I'll do that, especially like in conversation where it's like this. And I didn't notice about myself before typology, but just how much management I am doing of the situation. That's probably not even real, but just like um, trying to get one step ahead of the other person's thoughts and trying to control it that way so that I maintain whatever image I want them to have of me. And like this
Hmm.
is like in like worst case scenario, like me and my worst type of thing in conversation.
Yeah. D So managing perceptions, that it sounds like that's something you're really trying to focus on, like manage how you're being perceived.
Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm unconsciously doing. If
Right.
like now I'm like, okay, let's be like consciously not do that. But that's
Right.
me on like default.
And so like what are some of the things that you can we talk about this? It's okay, yeah?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So what are some of the things that you do to manage perception? Like, are you
If
holding back thoughts? Are you holding yourself back a lot?
um I don't know, am I holding myself back? It is like a holding back because it's like a specific like if I'm talking about a subject and I'll have the thought that like maybe they don't think that I know a lot about this subject. I'll like then say, well, this is the research I've done. And they weren't even like asking about that, but it's kind of like a preemptive like I'm gonna get a step ahead of that thought.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because so like all of your ST would be in your sleep. All of your ST would be very refined and honed in. And whenever you're sharing, ST is like the proving stuff. So if you can't prove it all the way down to the basics, it'll be very risky for you to say something because first of all, it could be wrong. You could disagree with it, and second of all, if someone questions it, like how are you going to prove it? You don't have it all
Yes.
the way, right?
Yes, saying anything like very definitively is a little bit nerve-wracking for me. That
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then if like even if they're like, well, here, let me, because my husband does this a lot, like let me repeat what you just said so that I understand it. And like even then, it's like it makes me uncomfortable. Um,
Right. Yeah, because it won't be as specific as you want it to be. Is that
mhm.
kind of it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I could really defend it. Like there's so many angles I'm looking at things from, and like it's hard to prove because it's like how do I do that if like my experience is different than yours, you know?
Right. Yeah. Do you often find that like you're banking too much on a specific example or a specific experience, and like if like taking that as evidence for something? Do you do that sometimes? or that's not
Like if a yeah, like think like taking extrapolating like way too much data than that's actually there from like a bad conversation or a an event that happened. Um,
right? Yeah, and like, are you trying to like make sure that that event or that conversation or whatever, you're trying to settle it somewhere? You're trying to get it to settle? Is that
yeah,
what's
I feel
happening?
like often like I'll pet it in my head over and over again just so I can understand it, or um, but also just like and time helps with this too. Like things calm down over, but yeah.
So okay, so you're petting it. What do you? What kind of things pop out and stand out when you're petting it? Like what is that process?
A lot of times it's uncomfortable because then like the emotion of it, like the either the fear or the uncertainty of just like I can't know everything that happened in that conversation, and so like I feel like I can't help but rethink about it even though I don't want to, because like
Right.
interactions can be painful. um
So like, are you looking for some kind of missing information? Is that kind of what's going on? Do you feel like you're missing some information about what happened?
I'm trying to make it better so that it doesn't happen again. If it
Right.
wasn't awkward, like, so I'll find myself doing that, like even if I don't want to, over conversations that I don't think went well, because it's like, okay, how do I like prepare for this better, um
Right. Yeah. It's interesting the play last where like you'll put so much energy into doing play without even doing the play. It's like doing
mhm.
the prep and then after the play. It's like everything play is like this thing that's at the center of your life and you're doing so much around it but not actually doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way. And I see like even like the masculine FE in that I've kind of reduced it to like rules. Like, okay, like I ask you like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And then you ask me, what am I doing this weekend? And so when someone doesn't obey those social rules, I'm kind of like, I thought this was a thing. This was something I learned through my entire life, that this is how social interaction works, and I'm doing it and you're not like I don't know what I did. What are you, it's confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of us just don't follow social rules very well, so
Mm.
there's that too. Yeah. But no, you generally that's right. Yeah. I I see that happen a lot too with people who want to get asked a question, so they go and they ask you because the social rules.
Yes.
They'll
Yeah.
ask you the question like, "Okay, ask me back because I really want to talk."
If I'm honest, it's more that. It's like, yeah, I would
Okay,
like to talk about this, but I'll let you go first, and then you
right,
let me go. I go next.
right. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Like, have you seen the play last hurt you in your life at all? Like, is it something that's negatively affecting you?
I think I'm pretty awkward socially. I think that because of like kind of the rigidity around rules, or like confusion when people don't follow that, I have cut off people in my life that I just did not understand, or that were not doing the social things that I would have had interpreted as an I like you, I enjoy you. And so I think have like unconsciously like just kind of like stopped pursuing people that I think would have been good for me, out of like those masculine any fears.
Yeah. So, what are some of the most egregious, whatever? What's the word there? Um,
I know what
Social
you're
rule
thinking of.
breakers. Yeah,
Yeah. Wait, ask it
egregious.
again. Yeah,
Like
egregious.
some of the
Yeah.
most egregious social rule breaking that you've seen that sort of
Like
causes
that.
you to take that step back. Yeah.
Oh, that like other people have done.
Right.
I do a lot of like in terms of when someone is really definitive, and when someone like has like said like this is what I think about X, and can like just really 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 like they know what they want, they know why, like a lot of like not rigidity but just self-awareness. And for me, I find safety in commonality. So when a person keeps and they're just stating their opinion, but when I feel like if we don't have enough in common,
Hmm.
that makes me think that they don't want a relationship, or I don't want a relationship, when in reality relationships aren't about that at all. But like
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I see that where it's like some people have very strong opinions and you just disagree with them, and like you don't even know where can we even start talking about this. We're just so
Yeah.
far away. Yeah.
And it's also like I will find myself, probably because of the double feminine sleep, is I'll say things that make me move toward their opinion, even though like I may not, I kind of think them, but I maybe don't. And for me, that's saying, hey, look, I'm giving up my like my own definitiveness, my own opinion to try on your opinion. Like that's me loving
Right.
you. And some people just, a lot of people don't work like that. It's not like love to like say something that you really don't mean. um and
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, I like I see how that is where like yeah, you're definitely sacrificing a bit of TI here. You're moving towards them, seeing
Mm,
their side of things a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is important. That's kind of what play is. It's kind of what DE is too. Yeah.
Mm.
So do you find that it does help you connect a little bit better when you do that kind of thing?
um yes, but before, like, this is before just accepting that this is just how I work, it was a lot of like self condemnation because I felt like I was lying, like they have an
Right.
opinion, and like I don't like this movie, but they like it, and then I'm like, well, I guess I could kind of see how these aspects of that movie were cool, like, and then I come out of that conversation being like, but I don't like that. Like, why couldn't I just say I hate that movie? And like, and so I would get like why, like, why can't you stand up for yourself? Like, why can't you like have
Right.
more of a backbone type of thing?
Yeah. Although, like, if you are gonna fight with someone about liking a movie, is probably not the not the fight you want to have with someone.
True, yeah, and so that's something easier to give up versus,
Yeah.
obviously
No, I
harder.
definitely identify with giving up sometimes like that, where it's just like, this isn't even worth like what's you look. I think you're just valuing the outcome of the
Hmm.
situation more than just sticking to who you are in the process. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it still feels like a betrayal of self, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, I get that.
So.
Um, have you reconciled that at all? Like, are you trying to do the radical honesty thing, or you're okay with
I have found this recently. I've been doing radical honesty more, where especially around like my belief system is like really precious to me. And like, so like when I meet someone who does not agree with my beliefs, it's like, to me, talking about that is very dangerous because commonality makes me feel safe. But recently, I've just been like saying, like, no, this is what I believe. And it's been super rewarding. Like, it hasn't been this like awful, like, catastrophe that I thought was going to happen by me, like, being like, no, I'm here. And
mhm.
a lot of like really cool things have come from that. And I kind of wish I had done that
Yeah.
sooner.
No, because it's interesting if you do have a clear stance and someone else has a different stance. Like it's okay to talk about those things, I guess, and not move anyone, not have anyone move by the conversation or by the end of the conversation. But we get to know you more, and you get to know them more, and yeah,
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so like that's kind of what I was talking about as well with the subjective nature of SI. And I don't know if it's only in all SI there, but it's like it's definitely part of subjectivity where it's like, okay, this is the way these are my beliefs. This is the way I think, and that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't mean that everyone has to think like this.
Yeah.
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 Are you afraid of pushing those onto people or
Um, I have pushed beliefs on the people when I think that they were. I keep getting, as I get older, I keep seeing that more and more of my own beliefs are um, more about me and my own experience, and that there's less and less like objectivity. But I have pushed some, and I do that less now.
yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, if it helps the other person, that's what Blast is too. Blast is looking
Yeah.
at what will help them, what's good for them, and
Yeah, I'm definitely. It's when I blast and when I do that, it is with really good intentions.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Um, what's it like? Do you have patience when you speak up and people reject what you're saying to them? Do you have patience for that? Like, do you know if they're going to reject it before you say it?
Um, I don't know if they're going to reject it or else I wouldn't say it. But if that happens, I withdraw really quickly. That's like a worst case scenario for
Is
me.
it?
Yeah, that's like the outcome that I am trying to prevent. Like I don't want to be rejected. Um, And
You don't
like
want your
I
blast
know people.
rejected?
What was that?
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, go on.
Like, you don't want your blast to be rejected,
Yeah,
or
or
you to be
anything.
rejected?
And like because like my information is so important to me, it's hard not to be like, if you're rejecting my information, you're not rejecting me. But it kind of feels like that.
Right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So with the masculine FE, do you see that um you're calling people out a lot on, I don't, or maybe not even vocally, but in your head at least, calling people out on, um, I don't know, their priorities, what they should be doing with their life, seeing that
Yeah,
people's, yeah,
yeah, I do that a lot in my head. And again, it's like getting better, but it's still like, even like I went to yoga this morning and some people left before the Shavasana, which is like the last 10 minutes where like you relax your whole body. And it's like the most important part of yoga. And I came home and to my husband, I was like, there are people that left during the, like it's 10 minutes. Like I feel like kind of a newbie at this. And like they're leaving during the most important part. And it's like, why am I don't care. They can do what they want. But yet I'm like, you should not do that, you know? So
right, yeah,
I'm not going to tell it to them, but I am going to think it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And so like, so that kind of thing, yeah, I guess that's exactly it. That's priorities. It's like they don't have their priorities the same or the way they should be with the tribe, or something's not
yeah,
lined up.
there's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe there's a worst case scenario where like I don't know, I can't think of like a scenario where like that 10 minutes is worth sacrificing, you know,
right.
for
Yeah,
the theory of what it is and its place in yoga, you know.
right. What if they were just bored, or they don't want to do that part? That's not what they
That
connect
could
to.
be, and that's okay.
That's okay. Right. Yeah, I saw how that was hard for you to say.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, cool. So what about Enneagram? You've been studying that for a while. So
Yeah, for
what,
like 2 years. Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of where you started in typology, is Enneagram, and is your head still there a lot? Is that
Oh,
still something?
I love the Enneagram. That's what I want to keep pursuing. I mean, OPS is like extremely wonderful and in a lot of ways I think easier, and I actually have an easier time seeing it in people at this point of than compared to like how when I was into the Enneagram after a few months, you know.
Mhm.
Um but yeah.
That's an interesting comparison. Like comparing, okay, I've been in OP for 2 months. Where was I in Enneagram after 2 months?
Yeah. And I was
That
mistyping people wildly. I mean, I'm definitely mistyping people in OPS, aka me,
right.
but like still like I feel like it's
We are
I don't know
too.
if it's
Everyone
because it's
is.
more grounded. What was that?
I said we are too. Everyone's mistyping in OPS. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like, I mean, Enneagram is a lot about like feeling people's energies and like feeling where their headspace is and where their heart space is and where their gut space is. And it's just like, and I enjoy it. But it's definitely, I think, harder for that for me. Um,
Right. Do you feel like you found a type for yourself there too?
yeah, yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
6 in the Enneagram. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had someone here in the comments talking about it a little bit.
I am a 694. If you want to get
Interesting.
into like tri type. So like I'm like
Right.
the most withdrawn 6, a 6 wing 7. So like
Yeah.
it's a weird combo just because 9 and 4 are just like so small and withdrawn, and like 6 is like, what should I be doing right now? I'm so afraid, you know. So
So it's really interesting that like you're doing the interviews and stuff like that. Like technically, this would be one of the most stressful things for you to do. This kind of thing.
hmm I was pacing in my house
Yeah.
for the last 2 hours. You know, like I'm excited about this, but it's just like,
Right.
it's like a roller
And what
coaster.
about like, I don't know, getting involved with people in OPS and stuff like that? Like,
That has been so good for me because something, I found a friend a year ago and we just spent the last year collecting videos of everyone, and we have 500 videos, and doing that has like been so good because I would never do that. It's like I'll do it for the information, and so I've been doing it for the information, and I have like my understanding of like just the individuality and like the perspectives and the spectrum of people. It's like rocked everything. It's been great. It's rocked a lot of my like uh, conceptions that I've had about people.
how
Um,
are you organizing the videos that you're finding? Like, what are you doing there?
Oh, we're putting them just based on like their instinct stacking and types, and then so organizing people by their type, by numbers.
And like the act of organizing it helps you with the spectrum?
Oh no, just the act of like seeing all the individuality and seeing just like
Right.
also patterns, and like that people who scare me, I am attracted to certain patterns, I am repulsed by certain patterns, and it's just their type. It's not like it's not them per se. You know, like
Right.
I can still love them and be like, I actually don't like the way you develop that mechanism. But
Right.
like, you know, it completely like divorces, like it just separates people
Why do you
from
think that is?
habits. Well, which part?
All of it, like the attraction, the interestingness, all that kind of stuff. Like
Oh, like
what do
why
you
the
think that is?
pattern?
Yeah, why do you think those patterns speak to you in that way?
I don't know. Like one pattern that I found that I really like to be around is someone who intrusively loves, and who will is kind of like almost like a parent about it, in that no matter what you're doing, I will still love you. And I think that's like forcing like a good play, maybe of like I am
Uh-huh.
going to play with you, but I'm going to do it in like I have to do it in love. And so me, who's like constantly stuck in sleep, I think, is it's hard for me to get that. Like it's hard for me to ask for with demon FE, hard for me to ask even like ask to like please like be my friend. You know, I don't like doing that
Right.
at all. And so I gravitate toward types who have that assertive, like maternal energy even. Um
Right. It makes you feel more safe doing the play as well, like a
Yeah,
sandbox.
because
Yeah.
I know that their image is one of love and not of like competency or like look at me. It's about me, you know, and that's nice. Um,
Yeah. Interesting. And so you're able to see that pattern in certain types of people?
yeah, yeah, and that's been like in the beginning we couldn't, but now that we have so many, and I feel like we're getting better and better, um, yeah,
Interesting. So like
it's cool.
where does that cluster around? Can it be anyone, or it's like certain types, or
Oh, like certain people with like 2 and 8 in terms of the numbers, yeah. When they have 2 and 8
okay,
and they're tri-type, they can be a force of mother.
force
So
of mother. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So so that's finding the pattern of what that is. So what do you think that says about you though? That's like it's a need that you're missing that you can't provide for yourself. You're finding it somewhere else.
Yeah, I guess it's a need that like I have a hard time asking for, but that still is a need, you know, like a legit need, not just something that like it would be nice to
Right.
have, you know.
Yeah. And would you say that like everyone would have that kind of thing, would respond to a different kind of pattern in a similar
I
way?
bet, yeah, like the guy that I'm doing it with has his own patterns of like what he
Right.
likes and doesn't like, and I would also think that like people like me would respond similar to me because I think a lot of me is type, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because like that right there is talking about how you are aware that like your subjectiveness is different from someone else's subjectiveness, right? It's
Mm, yeah.
like the patterns you like aren't necessarily the patterns someone else likes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So like how would you go about explaining that? How would you go about helping someone find those patterns that they like?
Well, I probably, depending on the person, I've like lost so many people because I get so excited and I start talking in code for the enneagram,
Right.
and like I've just introduced this concept, so I might like I would first gauge like how interested they are in the actual like the programming, and then if they weren't, I would try. I'm trying to get better at this because I've really lost a lot of people, and my husband keeps being like, if you want to communicate this information, you need to like dumb it down. I know you want to be interested and have fun, but you're kind of doing it at their expense because you're like, oh, I'm like, oh, look, I got the 317, blah, blah, blah. And like,
Yeah, yeah.
so like trying to make sure that it's more like abstract, not abstract, but just not using the actual numbers and using the words for the numbers and what the numbers mean. Um, you
Using
know,
the human language rather than
yeah,
enneagram language. Yeah.
yeah, it's not as
Yeah, I
fun.
run into that too, where it's annoying because you really want to talk about your own interests all the time, but the other person doesn't care, or they want to talk about their interests, and their interests might be very not. interesting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, what the Enneagram has really helped, because I have a really hard time, and had more of a hard time if I didn't find the person interesting. I had a really hard time being engaged. But like personality systems, they make everyone interesting. And it's so I can still like feel connected to like humanity by like making you interesting through the subject that I'm studying.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just boring. Go away from me. But
yeah, but yeah. Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Cool. Well, is there anything you want to say to other people of your type that might actually exist in the world that we haven't found yet?
Please come talk to me because I want to meet
Yeah.
you. That would be so cool.
Do you
But
have any advice for, I don't know, how to get over some of your biggest issues or problems?
um probably the deconstruction of thought is
Yeah.
probably so like Byron Katie, because it's not only helpful, but it's wildly fun. I like love the like big like at the end of like deconstructing the thought when you find out that the inverse is true. It's just like it's mind blowing, you know. And yeah,
Fascinating. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your personality and your type. And yeah,
yeah. Thanks for having me. This was
yeah.
fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Stick around and I'll just end the broadcast. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.